Speaking of a superstar, though, superstar talent on a team, Donovan Mitchell on
Okay.
the of course Cleveland has not been what many have thought of top two in the East. Is it time for them to ship him out?
Donovan Mitchell needs to be traded for the same some of the same reasons we just said about trade. You cannot have two small guards in Cleveland. Like Garland is the more pure point, so he stays. Donovan needs to go somewhere where he's just the scorer. Like he can't be a lockdown defender. He's not a facilitator. He's really just a bucket getter. That's why, like, I heard the rumor like Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. I was like, that's a terrible landing spot for him. It's a terrible spot.
It's always the Knicks with him because he's a New York guy and they want to star. But the case on why the Knicks shouldn't do it is what just happened with Cleveland. Cleveland gave up, and yeah, the assets they gave up weren't as touted as they became. So you can say, okay, like marketing wasn't what marketing is now, so that wasn't as egregious at the time. But still, you're giving up all these assets for a win now trade when they weren't one player away. They had a nice thing with Garland and then Mobley, and they threw all their chips in. It was a little premature, more premature than even Minnesota was. Even if the Cavs had beat the Knicks in round one last year, they would have lost in round two, and that trade's still not worth it. And
Yes.
now Mitchell's not re-signing, so you got to trade him.
The thing
And I
about
think he has.
Mitchell is like it's really hard to be critical of him because if you go back and look at that playoff series, he was one of the guys who actually showed up. He had good
He's a,
games in that series, but it was at the detriment of the team where he forgot he was not no longer in Utah. He was like, I don't trust my team. I'm going to do it all myself, and it didn't work.
yeah, he leaves it all out on the floor, but you got to trade him. And then and thinking about options, I don't think Cleveland would want to trade him in the East because I was thinking Indiana because Halliburton's a little bit bigger, but I don't think they trade him in the division.
I
So
do think
then,
they'll trade him in the division because I feel like the Eastern Conference has more teams with more assets. Like you said earlier, like I have to get my shit back.
So there's
I don't think Toronto would trade for him unless they knew he'd resign, which I don't think he would.
the the betting odds have, of course, the Knicks, but there's also the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers.
I
Style
think
wise,
Miami.
Miami is a good spot, but I don't like it. I really
I
don't.
mean, it's the Damian Lillard piece that they missed out on, and I honestly think the package for Dame might be enough. I don't think they trade Jaime Jaquez though.
Yeah, they're
He's
gonna
playing.
try to unload Duncan or Tyler Hero, and I think Cleveland will be a retarded if they don't ask for like a Hero back. Not to say that I'm
Well,
a
what are
fan
they
of
going to do
Hero.
for Hero?
I know, but
Hero and
it's
Gar.
like they're void of talent in Miami. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna get? Kyle Lowry's expiring contract? That doesn't make us better.
It would have to be a three-teamer
Now there
again.
is one team in the East that I think that he would actually help immensely. They have the assets to get him, but it doesn't mean that they should stop trying. Donovan Mitchell needs to go to Orlando. That's the lead guard they've been looking for 15 years.
Would that require Wagner, one of the Wagners?
For sure. But I'm okay with that.
That's accelerating your timeline pretty quick. I don't know that's risky because it puts I think more pressure to win now on Paulo, but I like it. I like Donovan Mitchell. You're right. It fills that need. You have Jonathan Isaac. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Paulo, Wendell. I mean Wendell might be in that trade if it happens. I don't know. No, Cleveland probably wouldn't want a center back. So yeah,
No,
you
but
probably keep one.
you have a ton of guards on that team that you could also send back. Like I'm fairly positive if that trade were to happen, Jalen Suggs is going to Cleveland.
And he's raised his value this year.
Yes, because he's a true point guard. He can guard. He's just a little bit on the smaller side, also. But also to the accelerating Paolo, that's exactly what you need. I like it. I told you, I liken Paolo to Blake Griffin. It's like your prime came immediately. I need to maximize your potential now because like you're not going to become that much of a better shooter. Your handle's already really good. You already like you do so many things well I'm not going to wait for you to get a little bit better to try to get the team better. So I think Donovan Mitchell is a good fit for that team.
Some Magic fans think Franz Wagner might be their biggest asset. Maybe not more than Paulo, but pretty close. So I don't know if Magic fans would love getting Mitchell if it's at the cost of Wagner. Now, if you could do Jalen Suggs, maybe Isaac, finally cut bait on him, and a bunch of picks, I don't see how you would disagree with that. And then for Cleveland, it's not the sexiest return, but it's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but also you got to think about the talent that's just sitting on Cleveland's bench. Like, I've been a fan of Amani Bates since the dude was like 13 years old. Like, I've known about this kid forever. Like, I guess I'm a dumbass because I thought he was the next KD, but I have no problem saying I'm going to put this 6'9" shooting guard in my lineup and let him go to work because I think that he's going to be good. But then also like you can send more assets to Orlando from Cleveland if you wanted to, because like if I had to say, for instance, I can't pull that trade off without sending Franz, okay, well then send me Donovan Mitchell and I'll take like Dean Wade or Isaac Okoro. I get it, it's not an exact swap, but there's still pros who could give me minutes. And then plus you got Max Strus who might be available for trade. Like there's talent over there in Cleveland. If I could not allow Franz Wagner hanging up that trade if I'm Orlando. That's my point.
So that's a good one. That's a good one in the East. One I like in the West is New Orleans. You get them a lead guard, faster, more explosive than McCollum. So you either send McCollum in the package, or you keep McCollum and you send some of your younger guys. But having Donovan, the big three of Donovan, Ingram, and whatever Zion does, in the Western arm race, I think if you want to go all in, that's what you do.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or it could be another one like Nick said. That's a 3-team trade because there's plenty of teams out there that'll send you second round picks or a serviceable big man or something for CJ.
Yeah, and New Orleans has a bunch of picks from like the Drew Holiday trade and others, so they get a little frisky. I think New Orleans has to do something, and a guy like Mitchell would help. Any other Western teams?
For Donovan, I mean, easily off the top of my head, I want to say San Antonio, but I just don't know what they would be willing to give up. I actually think he might be a good fit there.
Yeah, but he'd leave in 2 years, so I don't know why he would. Why they?
It has to be. You're right, though. It has to be a team that's willing to send picks back. That's the important part. You have to send picks back for Donovan.
That's why I said the 76ers, because they just got all that haul for James Harden. So
yes,
you know how more he is. He loves to.
But do you feel like Donovan Mitchell was more of in the way of Maxey than Trey would be?
Yes, but 76ers are dumb enough to. I mean, you tried James Harden with.
True, they got Daryl Morey. He is a dumbass.
So, and they like that fancy star power type of thing, and they're we'll let the players figure out. It feels like a Morey move if he was able to get him.
Are you sure that Donovan Mitchell couldn't be going to Toronto?
I mean, those two over there are on the trade block like every week.
The trade would be Anunoby. I think it'd be Anunoby. And picks, but knowing Toronto, they'd probably ask for picks from Cleveland.
Probably. But, I mean, Donovan Mitchell on that team kind of makes him good. I mean, Mitchell, Scotty Barnes, Pascal.
Makes them interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It moves the needle.
Nah, it doesn't. Not in the grand scheme of the East, but it'd be fun. I mean, I would be disappointed in that team if it didn't make the playoffs.
And then if you're Cleveland, I think Anunoby fits well with Garland
and
Mobley.
Even to that extent, if you make that trade and you, in a separate trade Jared Allen, put Mobley at the 5, get Pascal in return, put Pascal at the 4, like that seems possible. That just seems like too much of a turnaround on a team in the middle of a year.
And you just become the Raptors,
Pretty much.
the U.S.
Pretty much.
How much I'm working for this? I swear my dreams are too important.